We're going onwards, and now we're talking Stryker. Stryker, this is a company that makes hip and knee and joint replacements generally, as well as a whole bunch of surgical equipment. Surgical equipment is the stuff like keyhole surgery stuff that they stick in your belly button in order to remove something that's up somewhere behind one of your breasts. Exciting stuff. Hospital beds as well. These are the machines that you lie in if you're in ICU, and the bed tells the staff if your heart stopped beating, that kind of thing. Company that makes these things, you can imagine, must have fabulous margins, based in Michigan in the United States of America. Stryker, been around a long time, $37 billion worth of market cap, so not enormous. Not enormous by any means. They do have competition in that space from the likes of Johnson & Johnson, from a company like Zimmer Biomet. There are all sorts of companies that also play in that space, but I think you could say that Stryker is the largest in that particular environment. It has done well. Price-to-earnings ratio reflects that, 40.97, dividend yield of 1.39%. Done lots of acquisition, but I mean a very exciting list of products these guys do. Comments,
definitely,
Gary?
yeah, I know. And I think, I mean, you mentioned the acquisitions. I mean, they're buying things in Turkey, which is also going to be good. But I mean, the acquisition that you've got to talk about is Mako, obviously, which is their big robotic arms that also, like you say, help them with surgery. And I mean, they really, you know, I was listening to the earnings call on it, the most recent one, and a lot of the analysts are asking, where are you going to deploy this? Because they're sort of deploying 1 or 2 robots around the world at the moment. It's very new. But they say the opportunity is definitely in the US. I mean, to roll out new technology into the US, that's where they're going to get their big payout. And I mean, if you look at sort of robot-assisted surgery, which is what it's used for, I think in 2000 there was only something like 1,000 surgeries that were assisted, but in 24, I think it was 2012, it's something like 450,000. So
clarify for us. So this is the thing where the doctor sits with a screen, and then there's a robot that's actually doing the thing, and then the next brain bender you have to get around is that the doctor doesn't actually need to be where the patient is either. The doctor can be on a web connection. So you can have some like a high-end specialist who focuses on some form of heart surgery, and the machine is the other side of the country.
Definitely right. I mean, these are the guys that are really pushing the boundary on the future of where medical technology is going to go. I mean, it's another thing that I picked up in the earnings call. I mean, they're actually shifting now into a lot more R&D than they used to do. And I think that's also, when a company's investing heavily in R&D, they're investing for the future, and it's something that you can back.
And I think generally people do understand that the more people have medical aid and the better the technology gets, the sooner they're having joint replacements. So we know obesity is a global crisis. A lot of people putting a lot of pressure on their knees and their hips. Now, because they last longer, you can have one fitted when you're in your 40s. And it lasts until you die, or you can have one replaced. The keyhole surgery to replace them. In the old days, they used to cut you up and take your knee apart, and then afterwards drill in a new one and then try and put you all back together. Now it's like beautifully, carefully done. They've perfected this stuff.
No, definitely.
So the market opportunity is enormous.
It's massive. And I mean, they also, they're looking obviously at the Chinese market too, and that's another huge growth area for them with an aging population, as you mentioned. I mean, if they can capitalize on it, especially I think, where they're moving in is their spine division as well. Now, if you look at their spine, the opportunities.
So that's like bits and pieces, like when you get a spinal fusion because things are not going down well with your L4 and L5. It's all that all the screws and bits and pieces they stick in your spine to keep you together.
Exactly, all the glues and cements and things that I do not understand how they work, but looking at the numbers and the demographics, you can sort of back it.
Okay, good. So we like this one. Are you happy with Kevin Lobo, the CEO, came from the Mako acquisition you referred to earlier. Looks like a good team. High PE, but looks like a grower.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm happy with it. I think, it is a high PE, so you don't quite have that margin of safety, but I think the prospects are that much more exciting.
And it has had a little bit of a sag with the rest of the market. Okay, good.